We found this book online. It's Bruce Lee, The Artist of Life, and we're browsing through it, and we came across one of the philosophers that he read up on and became knowledgeable about as a philosopher. This person's name is René Descartes, very, very old philosopher. The French philosopher and mathematician René Descartes, or Descartes, 1598 to 1650, is known primarily for his epistemology. Epistemology is considered the philosophy of knowledge and is concerned with issues such as how and what we do. His epistemological position arose to combat the skeptics, those who think people cannot or do not know anything with any certainty. The skepticism, as Descartes saw it, was generated by two questions. 1. How do you know that? 2. What makes you think you really know that? That is, why is it a good reason? The skeptic really cannot be debated. Things should be absolutely reasonable and justifiable before one can accept them. If you can doubt things, then they are not too stable. Dream, a false representation. Hallucination, a false general sensory or mental representation. It is possible for us to misinterpret the vision of the world, and this is from the source Bruce Lee's handwritten notes entitled Descartes, found in his philosophy notebook dated January 3rd, 1963 and January 23rd, 1963, University of Washington, Bruce Lee papers. Descartes' Meditations. Author René Descartes. Type of work, epistemology. Meditations, 1641. 1. Gives views on the absolute distinction of mind-body. 2. Body subject to mechanical causal laws or causal laws. 3. Mind is free from mechanical causal laws and exists independently. 4. This distinction is Descartes' purpose of showing that the doctrines of the Roman Catholic faith are reconcilable with progress and discovery in the physical sciences. 5. Meditations. Descartes' most important philosophical work, containing his chief metaphysical teaching. Meditation 1. Outline. In the first of these meditations, Descartes offers reasons for his methodological skepticism. 1. Doubt is useful since it frees us from prejudice. 2. Doubt shows how the mind may escape from the senses. 3. Doubt makes it impossible for us ever to doubt those things that we have once discovered to be true. Concerning what may be doubted. 1. Descartes wanted to get rid of all old beliefs, even those that were not all false or not yet proven to be false. 2. All he considered true was based upon sense perception, learned either from the senses or through the senses. And this source is from Bruce Lee's handwritten notes entitled Descartes' Meditations, found in his philosophy notebook dated January 13, 1963 and January 23, 1963, University of Washington, Bruce Lee papers. Although the senses are often deceptive, Descartes yet realizes many things one learns by senses can be reasonably sure. The fact that he was seated where he was when writing his meditation, for example. 4. Yet we believe things are real while we are only dreaming them. 5. Can we then be sure that right now is not an illusion or a dream? 6. According to Descartes, God is a perfect being who would not allow us to be deceived. 7. Yet we can be, and sometimes are, deceived. 8. Why should a God who could not allow us always to be deceived, allow us to be deceived sometimes? 9. Descartes invokes the idea of a malignant demon who may be supposed to be doing his best to mislead men into falsehood. Note, a more serious answer to the problem is found in the fourth meditation, where Descartes argues that it is a wrong use of man's free will that leads him into error. That by arrogantly making up his mind to a judgment where there are insufficient reasons to support it, he brings falsehood upon himself. For error, as for moral wickedness, God is not responsible. By the first suggestion, the blame was on the devil. By this, it is on the man. Only by setting ourselves to accept nothing but what is, by the Cartesian criterion, genuinely acceptable, we will avoid error. 10. At the end of his first meditation, Descartes continues to live in a state of suspended judgment. According to Descartes, 1. The mind and body can be separated. 2. The mind can do away with the body, Cartesian dualism. 3. The thing he can't doubt is his existence. He has to be there, that is, to exist. To doubt whether he is in a dream or is being deceived by the demon, at least he supposes he is there. 4. Therefore he concludes there exists no doubt of one's existence. I think, therefore I am. Meditation 3. The demonstration of the existence of God. 2 forms of argument are presented. 1. First he asks directly concerning the idea of a perfect being, whence it could have come into his mind, from some other creature, from himself, or must there exist a perfect being to originate the idea? His answer is obscured for the modern reader by the late medieval philosophical framework in which it is expressed. According to Descartes, the idea of God containing more objective reality than any other idea, including Bruce Lee's idea of himself. But a more perfect idea cannot be generated by a less perfect being. Therefore, concludes Descartes, the idea of God in his mind must have been placed there by God himself. 2. The second form of the argument proceeds from the contingent quality of his own existence, made up as it is of fleeting instants, no one of which is able either to conserve itself or to engender its successor. I'll read that again. 2. The second form of the argument proceeds from the contingent quality of his own existence, made up as it is of fleeting instants, no one of which is able either to conserve itself or to engender its successor. Much in the argument reminds one of the traditional Aristotelian proof, but there is this difference which makes it clear that the new argument is only another version of the first. It is not merely the existence of a contingent being that has to be explained, or of a thinking being, but of a being which thinks and which has some idea of God. Thus, the principle that there must be at least as much reality in the cause as in the effect precludes the possibility that any being less perfect than God could have created Descartes or any man. Descartes' an opinion. Descartes believed that some ideas are innate, some are from the outside, and still some others are the combination of both. He decides to consider those ideas proceeding from external objects and to find out what are the reasons that cause him to think that these ideas of things, which he has, are similar to the things themselves. He believes that the things outside are not caused by his imagination, for when the fire makes him feel hot, the feeling of heat is imprinted on him involuntarily, whether he likes it or not. Nature works the same way. However, nature can lead man astray, because in the act of choosing between vice and virtue, Descartes thinks that most men would choose the former. Perhaps we only imagine the existence of those external objects of which we have ideas, and even if these ideas he has do proceed from the external objects, which are different from himself, it still does not prove that the idea he has resembles any object in nature. On the contrary, there is often a great difference in the sun. There's only one right one. Sun, S-U-N. There's only one right one. Descartes concludes that it was not by a certain judgment. Source: Bruce Lee's handwritten notes entitled Descartes, found in his philosophy notebook dated January 13, 1963 and January 23, 1963, University of Washington, Bruce Lee Papers. On Descartes' Cogito. Cogito ergo sum. Descartes' dictum, which when translated from the French reads I think, therefore I am, can really only mean I think, therefore I am a thinker. This being of the I am, which is deducted from I think, is merely a knowing. This being, knowledge, but not life. And the primary reality is not what I think, but that I live. For those also live who do not think. Although this living may not be a real living. God, what contradictions we seek to join in wedlock life and reason. The truth is sum ergo cogito, I am therefore I think. Although not everything that is, thinks, is not conscious thinking above all consciousness of being. Is not conscious thinking above all consciousness of being? Is pure thought possible without consciousness of self, without personality? Can there exist pure knowledge without feeling, without that species of materiality which feeling lends to it? Do we not perhaps feel the thought, and do we not feel ourselves in the act of knowing and willing? The defect of Descartes' discourse of method lies in his resolution to begin by emptying himself, of Descartes, of the real man, the man of flesh and bone, the man who does not want to die, in order that he might be a mere thinker, that is, an abstraction. But the real man returned and thrusts himself into his philosophy. Source: Bruce Lee's handwritten essay Descartes, University of Washington, January 24, 1964, and Bruce Lee's handwritten notes entitled Cogito ergo sum from his philosophy notebook dated January 7, 1964, Bruce Lee Papers.